Hey everyone, welcome to our channel. Here we will go in depth with all the information you need to learn of Middle-earth and its amazing characters. From where does Sauron come from, to the origins of orcs, ents, and even follow the travels of our most beloved characters. So if you are a fan of this type of content regarding the history of Middle-earth, don't forget to subscribe for more. Also don't forget to turn on the bell notification to be notified whenever new content has been put up on our channel, Dwarfs of Khazad-dûm. About 2 videos will be posted weekly, so don't forget to comment and give a like to let me know that you are enjoying this video. So to not take any more time, let's get back to our video. 19 rings were made, 3 rings for the elves, 7 rings for the dwarfs, and 9 rings for men. An additional ring, the One Ring, was forged by Sauron himself at Mount Doom. The 19 lesser rings were linked somehow to the power of the One, and were dependent on it. Their wearers could be controlled by the wearer of the One, and if the One was destroyed, their own powers would. In the primal beginnings of time, Sauron started out as the loyal servant of all, god of metallurgy and craftsmanship, but then Sauron switched sides and became Morgoth's second-in-command. The Rings of Power were a culmination of all his knowledge, metallurgy plus the mastery of power and evil. In the year 1500 of the Second Age, Sauron, calling himself Annatar, Lord of Gifts, befriended the Noldor of Eregion. He claimed to be an emissary of the Valar, especially all, and instructed them in the art of ring-making. Celebrimbor distrusted him, but the smiths of Eregion were deceived. Under the guidance and instruction of Sauron, the smiths openly made rings to learn the craft. But unbeknownst to him, the craft taught by Sauron incorporated a binding magic into the rings. They hearkened to Sauron, and they learned of him many things, for his knowledge was great. In those days the smiths of Ostinedhil surpassed all that they had contrived before, and they took thought, and they made rings of power. But Sauron guided their labors, and he was aware of all that they did, for his desire was to set a bond upon the elves and to bring them under his vigilance. His Annatar Fana was unmasked before he could quite complete the plan, and unknown to him Celebrimbor made 3 rings for the greatest of the elves and totally without his input. It was because of this reason that the 3 could not be perverted or do harm to their bearers. Celebrimbor eventually figured out how to make magical rings of power that lacked some of the qualities of all the other rings. His 3 rings were not associated with the shadow world, for example, and they did not make you fade. They were, however, crafted using skills taught by the Dark Lord. Now the elves made many rings, but secretly Sauron made 1 ring to rule all the others, and their power was bound up with it, to be subject wholly to it and to last only so long as it too should last. And much of the strength and will of Sauron passed into that 1 ring, for the power of the elven rings was very great, and that which should govern them must be a thing of surpassing potency. Thus all the great rings, and probably the lesser ones too, had the same design flaw that made them vulnerable to domination by the 1 ring. Once Sauron made the one, any ring of power made before or after would be subject to his ring. The 3 rings were Vilya, Nenya and Narya. Narya, the ring of fire or the red ring, Vilya, the ring of air or the sapphire ring, and Nenya, the ring of water or the ring of adamant. The rings Vilya and Narya went to Elven High King Gil-galad of Lindon, who entrusted Vilya to Elrond and Narya to Círdan, Elven lords of Rivendell and Mithland, respectively. These rings were kept by Elrond and Círdan following the death of Gil-galad. Following the arrival of the Astari in Middle-earth, Círdan, recognizing Gandalf as the wisest of the 5 and also as a Maiar, passed Narya on to him. Nenya was originally given to Galadriel, Lady of Lothlorien and mother of Elrond's wife Celebrian, and forever remained with her. The greatest sorrow of the elves stemmed from the fact that being immortal, they had to see how all their creations wilted and died. Also, they grew weary with time, thus, they tried to stop it. The primary reason they accepted to create the Rings of Power was to halt time, as the marring of Arda made things decay and wither at a much faster rate, and their own bodies grew weary to the point of making their lives unbearable. The ring Nenya could significantly slow, if not totally arrest, the effects of the flow of time in the region where the rings hold influence. This could be as region as small as Imladris, to maybe as big as Lindon. The mechanics of how big a region the three can influence is not stated anywhere as far as I know, but we do know that the borders of a big enough realm like Lothlorien was sufficiently protected by Nenya. The elven rings had the power to heal, as Frodo noted when he was in Lorien. Even the air around them seemed to heal them with every breath. The elven rings didn't only preserve and heal, they also granted protection. No evil would enter Lorien unless it was Sauron himself. It warded off all malevolence, as we see when there was a struggle of power between the shadow oozing from Dol Guldur and the golden mist that spread from Lorien. Evil had been seen and heard there, sorrow had been known, the elves feared and distrusted the world outside, wolves were howling on the wood's borders, but on the land of Lorien no shadow lay. With Narya, you are now in possession of the biggest morale booster in the entirety of Middle-earth. The significance of this comes to play when you consider one of the Shadow's most powerful weapons, fear and despair. With Narya, Sauron would be hard-pressed to find a way into the hearts of your people. Círdan secretly took Gandalf the Grey aside and gave him Narya, saying, "Take this ring, master. For your labors will be heavy, but it will support you in the weariness that you have taken upon yourself. For this is the ring of fire, and with it you may rekindle hearts in a world that grows chill." Gandalf used it on Theoden and on the men in Pelennor, uplifting their spirits and kindling the fire in their hearts again. Moreover, Gandalf fought the Balrog for days and days. Narya might have been a factor for him to remain so strong, guarding him from weariness to finally prevail, even if it was at the cost of his own life. In the end, these three aspects were the powers that the rings possessed. Nenya was said to be chief among them, but Vilya was the mightiest. Narya would then be the least powerful, but the comparison of power among the three is really vague. All of them would enhance the bearers according to their own inner strength, so they had a passive aspect of enhancement and the more active aspect of granting all these powers to those who wielded them effectively. The elves hoped that after the destruction of the One Ring, the three might be liberated. Sadly, it was not so. As Sauron had planned, the power of the three was bound up too much with the One Ring, as were the powers of all the rings. And therefore, when the one was destroyed, the powers of all the other rings, even the three, faded. Well friends, hope you had a great time with this video. Please comment and let us know what you thought of this story and give a like to help spread this content out there. If you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button for more lore of the world of Arda and Middle-earth. This is Dwarfs of Khazad-dûm wishing you a great day. See you on the next video.